Okay, welcome back to Learning with D. Remember, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Learning with D. So what are we talking about today? We're following up on a video in which we introduced you to power, exponent, indices. What we're going to do is we're going to tackle the first 3 laws of indices. So you will recall that anything to the 0 power, anything at all to the 0 power gives us 1. Before I get into that, let me just do a quick review of the semantics here. So where you see something that looks like this, a to the x, what's being referenced here is a represents a base. Okay, and that could be anything. Okay, it doesn't have to be a. This is just a placeholder. It could be 4, it could be -2, it could be 1,000, it could be another variable. It could be a negative number, it could be a fraction. And x in this case represents the power. Another name for that, the exponent. And another name for that, the index. Plural for index is indices. And so what we're looking at is the laws of indices. Okay, so anything raised to the 0 power, anything raised to the 0 power gives us 1. 4 raised to the 0 power is 1. 1/2 raised to the 0 power is 1. -16 raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. Okay, so let's consider having learned that. Now let's take a look at something else. Let's take a look at another law. Okay, so let's look at this one right here. It says a to the x multiplied by a to the y. So what are we talking about here? So what if I had 2 to the 3rd multiplied by 2 squared? So we have the same base. See, the base is 2. And the base here is 2. So we have the same base, hence a and a. But the powers are different, x and y. Okay? So according to my law, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 2. And then we add the exponents. 3 plus 2 is equal to 2 to the 5th power. So what we're going to do is we're going to go about doing this a couple ways, just to make sure that this is correct. Okay? We're going to do this a couple ways. So the first way we're going to check this is you're going to see, well, what is 2 to the 3rd? What is that equal to? And then what is 2 squared? What is that equal to? And then multiply them by each other and see if we get whatever it is that we think 2 to the 5th is equal to. So let's start by taking a look at 2 to the 3rd. That is 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the 3rd is 8. 2 squared is 2 multiplied by 2, which is 4. Okay, now let's look at 2 to the 5th power. All right, 2 to the 5th power is 2 multiplied by 2, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 2. 5 2s, right? 5 2s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 32. So if I get 2 to the 3rd and I multiply it by 2 squared, what I'm really doing here is I'm taking 8 and I'm multiplying it by 2 to the 2 squared, 2 to the 2nd power, which is 4. And when I multiply these two things together, I should get 32, which is in fact what 2 to the 5th is. So it works. I can see that in fact, this actually works. Okay. So now if I just went by the rule, I would just add the exponent and I would get 2 to the 3 plus 2, which is 2 to the 5th, which is in fact 32, which is correct. Okay. So let's try another example. Let's try another example. Okay. Let's try 4 squared multiplied by 4. Now, 4 is the same thing as 4 to the first power. We don't see the 1. Because it's the first power, we don't have to add another 4. We don't have to multiply another 4 because there's 1 4. Okay, so this is 4. So according to this, my rule is the same base. So this is 4 squared multiplied by 4 to the first power. So my rule says this is going to be 4 to the 2 plus 1, which is 4 to the third power, which is, according to my understanding, 4 times 4 times 4. 3 of them, right? 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So we should get 64. Okay, let's look at it this way. So 4 squared is equal to 4 by 4, which is equal to 16. And 4 to the first power is equal to 4. So basically, I'm looking at, if I have 4 squared multiplied by 4 to the first, what I'm looking at is 16 multiplied by 4, which in fact is 64. So as I can see, my law is correct. And these are examples of that law. Okay, examples of that law. Now, we go more in depth in our actual live classes, which you can find out about. We have them on specific days for specific topics. And what we do is we go in cycles. So for example, we're going to have a cycle of a full lesson on the course work for exponents. We're going to go from scratch to the end, working problems. Once that is finished, we start another repeat course for those who did not get in the first time. So find out more about that, okay? Now let's take a look at the division. All right, so now we're going to take a look here. All right, so what if I had 2 to the 5th divided by 2 squared? So according to my law, same base, make sure it's the same base. According to my law, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the power. So I'm going to have 2 to the 5 minus 2. Hence, I'm going to have 2 to the third power. And by now, we should realize that is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. All right, so let's look at this and work it out piece by piece. So what this really is 2 to the 5th divided by 2 squared. So this is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? That's what I'm looking for. And this is all divided by 2 times 2. Now, at this point, I could just cancel out. Right? And I'm going to be left with 2 to the third power. 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Okay? So I could do that. I could do that at this point. What am I going to do? Well, first of all, let's in fact do that, and then we'll do it another way. So 2 times 2, this is 2, cancel out with this 2. This 2 is cancelled with this 2, and so what I'm left with is just 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 to the third power, which is 8. So right here, I see that this thing actually worked out, right? So it's the same. So my law works. All right, let's take a look at a different angle, right? From this point, what I could do, I want to cancel. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. 2 times 2 is 4. And 32 divided by 4. 4 into 4 is 1. 4 into 32 is 8. I'm left with 8. So there's always multiple ways in which we can solve these computations. Either way, we'll end up with the same answer. All right? Either way, we will end up with the same answer. So our next video, which you should be able to see over on this side somewhere, is going to deal with the other laws, which is 1 over a to the x is the same thing as a to the minus x. We also have a to the x, and then that's raised to another power. And that's going to be equal to a to the x, y. We multiply the powers. And if you have the x root of a, that's the same thing as a to the 1 over x. All right. So in the meantime, hit the subscribe button over here. All right. Take a look at the previous video, which talks about what really is power. And go on to the next video, which deals with the rest of these rules.